We all know that there are 24 hours in a day, right? I mean, a full day is the time it takes the Earth to spin on its axis, and that's 24 hours. Well, not exactly. What you might not know is that Earth actually spins 23 hours and 56 minutes per day. We add the extra 4 minutes to each day because the distance that the Earth orbits the Sun is so great that it takes extra time for us to face the Sun again. The Earth spins slower and slower every year, too. They estimate that in about 250 million years, the typical day on Earth will only be about 90 minutes. There is an area in Canada known as Hudson Bay, and it has an uneven mass and uneven gravity. There were once glaciers in that area that melted a long time ago. Well, now they're gone, but the burden of gravity remains in the ice sheets and underneath the Earth's crust. This results in lower gravity in this area than anywhere else on Earth. Now, that doesn't mean that you can visit the place and feel like you're walking on the moon. The difference in gravity is only about 0.005% reduction. The change is so small you won't be able to feel it. The first photo of Earth ever taken was in 1946. A camera was strapped to a V-2 missile 65 miles above the Earth's atmosphere. The camera managed to snap a frame every second and a half, and the rocket survived re-entry. The scientists involved in the project were ecstatic. They couldn't believe that there was finally now a photo of the Earth in existence. In 1967, the full-color image of the Earth was taken by the Dodge satellite. These photos led to the beginning of a better understanding of the world where we live. Have you ever wondered why oceans are so salty? Well, most of the salt in the water comes from the rocks on the shore. Rainwater is naturally acidic, and it breaks down the rocks and then distributes its components into the water. The seawater salt is so dense that if you were to dissolve all the oceans in the world and spread the salt across the Earth, you would still have a 500-foot-thick salt layer coating absolutely everything. That is a lot of salt. Fortunately, our oceans will never dry up, at least not in our lifetime, so that means we don't have to deal with an excessive salt issue, at least not on the Earth. In your diet, however, well, that's between you and your doctor. There is a place in Death Valley known as Racetrack Playa. In this area, rocks can actually move on their own from place to place. And it's not just tiny pebbles that are moving on their own either. There are rocks in the area that weigh tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of pounds that are able to move on their own. Scientists believe the reason rocks in this area move is that they are ice-encrusted and they are flooded by meltwater from the hills, and that makes the ground very slick. When a strong wind blows, even though the rocks are that heavy, the rocks could still move. It's a crazy phenomenon that you'll only see in Death Valley. Many scientists believe that at the beginning of the development of this planet, there was a smaller twin planet which they've called Theia. The twin planet was around the size of Mars, and over 5 billion years ago, Theia crashed into Earth. Most of it was absorbed into the Earth's crust, and the rest drifted off. It was this part of the twin planet that created the Moon, again according to theories. Scientists aren't sure the theory is true, but their reasoning is planets the size of Earth don't typically have moons that are so big as ours. Also, there are matters found on the Moon that are also found on Earth. If the theory is correct and the two planets never collided, people could live on Theia, and the two planets would have had no moon. Many people believe the Sun is our primary source of energy. It's a ball of energy that we depend on to survive. If we didn't have access to sunlight, most people believe the human race would die out pretty quickly. What you might not know is that Earth's core is just as hot as the surface of the Sun. The two are between 5,000 and 7,000 degrees Celsius. So if a catastrophe were to happen and the Sun's rays were permanently blocked by clouds or nuclear fallout, the Earth would freeze. Fortunately, we would be able to harness the energy within the Earth to help us survive until the air was clear and the sun could shine again. Digging down that far, of course, would be the tough part. Cameroon is located near the border of the Congo, and there lies 3 lakes, the Nyos, Manaun, and Kivu lakes. In 1984, a group of local villagers was walking to work when suddenly a gas cloud appeared. It swept the workers away before being swept off by the wind. That day, 37 people were killed instantly. After some investigation, experts realized that the gas cloud that swept the men away was carbon dioxide that had been released during an explosion from the lakes. The lakes are sitting on volcanic Earth, and they still explode even today. Many people don't even know the lakes by their technical names. Instead, they recognize them as the exploding lakes.